The flickering light from the kerosene lamp cast shadows across her face as she stared up at him. Laura Bennett, 46 and widowed for 3 long winters, felt a spark she thought had been buried with her husband. The stranger in her doorway was bleeding, his flannel shirt ripped from a knife wound, snow melting off his sturdy frame onto her creaky porch floor. "Please," he rasped, voice like worn leather. "My truck broke down a mile back. Just need a place to wait out the storm till dawn." She should have slammed the door. A woman alone on a remote Nebraska farm, miles from the nearest neighbor, inviting in a man she'd never laid eyes on. But there was something in his gaze, not just pain, something raw and familiar. "You can warm up by the stove," she found herself saying. Ethan Hayes stepped inside, and the wind howled as the door banged shut. Neither could have guessed that in 48 hours, everything would shatter. Forbidden passion igniting in the prairie snow, buried secrets exploding like a powder keg, threatening to unravel them both. What unfolds when a woman's frozen heart crashes into a drifter's haunted past? Buckle up for this turbulent tale like if you're hooked, and drop in the comments where you're tuning in from tonight. Laura's fingers trembled as she boiled water on the old gas range, not from the chill toughened up to Nebraska blizzards. It was him, the way he filled her drafty kitchen like he'd always been there, chasing away the emptiness that had settled in like dust. "Shirt off," she said, avoiding his eyes. "That cut needs tending." Ethan paused, then peeled off the blood-soaked fabric. Laura's breath hitched. His torso was a battlefield. Faded scars from bar fights, old stab marks, the marks of a life on the edge. But it was those hazel eyes that gripped her, seeing her as a woman, not just a relic of loss. "You out here by yourself?" he asked while she swabbed the wound with antiseptic. 3 years now. Her touch was steady, practiced from patching up her husband after farm accidents. But this hummed with electricity. When she pulled back, their eyes locked, a silent storm brewing shared isolation, or maybe raw need. "I've got chilly heating," she blurted. "Not fancy, but it'll do." They sat at her scarred oak table, the blizzard raging outside. Laura watched him eat, noting his vigilant glances, a man always watching his back. "What dragged you into this mess of night?" she probed. "Chasing a lead on an old buddy." Ethan studied her. "Ever heard of Alex Bennett?" Laura's fork clattered down, her face paling. "What did you just say?" "Alex Bennett, mid-20s, sandy hair, eyes like yours. We worked rigs together up in North Dakota oil fields for half a year." "Alex." It came out choked. "That's my son." Ethan's fork froze. "Your son? He took off 2 years back for the boom towns. Haven't heard a peep since." Laura's voice cracked. "Is he alive? Last I saw you. But things went so the crew dispute, guns involved. I barely escaped." Tears streamed down Laura's face, a mix of joy and terror. Without thinking, Ethan reached over, his rough hand engulfing hers. Warmth flooded her veins. "I'll track him down," Ethan vowed. "That's why I'm headed north to square things and bring word." Laura gazed at this stranger who'd crossed paths with her boy, who'd faced death for him. And something deep inside her fractured not gratitude alone, something fiercer, more perilous. "The shed's freezing," she said. "Stay by the stove." Ethan nodded, words failing him. He'd been dodging shadows for months, outrunning debts and vendettas. But here, in this cozy farmhouse with this resilient, shattered woman, he tasted peace for the first time in years. As Laura climbed the stairs to her bedroom, Ethan unrolled his sleeping bag by the fire. Upstairs, he heard her rustling, then silence. He stared at the ceiling, wrestling demons. What kind of fool lusted after his pal's mom? The type starved for connection, spotting the same fire in her eyes. Laura stirred before sunrise, descending quietly. Ethan sat by the embers, dressed, lost in thought. "Rough night?" she asked. "Not much for sleep anymore." She brewed coffee in the dim light, studying his rugged profile, the kind that weathered storms but hinted at hidden depths. "Tell me about Alex," she urged. Ethan's features softened. He bragged on you constantly. Said his mom was the toughest in Nebraska, holding the farm together solo. Vowed to strike it rich on the rigs and come back loaded to ease your load. Silly kid, she smiled faintly. I don't need saving. Just him home. That's what I told him. Ethan paused, but he's ashamed. The job tanked in that shootout. He figures he let you down. Laura's hand covered her mouth. Oh, Alex. Stubborn, just like his old man. Their eyes met, the air thick. She saw echoes of Alex in Ethan's words, but differences too. Alex, her gentle boy, Ethan forged in fire, scarred by choices he couldn't undo. Why really hunt him? She pressed. Ethan's jaw set. My fault those thugs showed. My old troubles spilled over bad debts from gambling days. Alex got caught in the crossfire. What kind of troubles? The sort that buries folks. Laura poured coffee, their fingers brushing, sending sparks. In danger now? Always. Then why stop here? Ethan held her gaze. Alex said if things went bad, make sure his mom knew he loved her. And I had to meet the woman who raised a stand-up guy like him. The words hung heavy. Laura flushed, her heart racing. This was insane. He was her son's age, his friend. But that look. Let me check the dressing, she whispered. Ethan unbuttoned, exposing that chiseled, battle-worn chest. The wound was mending, but she lingered. Laura, he murmured, don't. Yet when his hands cupped her face, she didn't pull away. I know it's wrong. Then why? Because I've been numb for years, and you wake me up. She smelled his scent, earth and sweat and man, and tipped up to meet his lips. The kiss started soft, exploratory, then ignited desperate, devouring loneliness. They broke apart, panting. This is madness, she gasped. Madness, he echoed, forehead to hers. Outside, the wind whipped fiercer. More snow meant he'd be stuck another day. Laura decided then, consequences be damned. Storms worsening. Seems so. You'll be here a while. She turned to the stove, but paused. Ethan, yeah, I'm glad you're here. He watched her, this woman thawing his ice, Alex's mom, the one cracking his walls. By dusk, snow blanketed everything. The barn was invisible. Tension simmered all day in lingering touches during chores. Halted talks veering too close to the edge. Laura slipped into a fitted blouse that accentuated her figure, drawing Ethan's heated stares. She was striking, not flashy, but real, forged by hardship and heart. Found this, she said, uncorking bourbon from the pantry. Saved for. Whatever. They lounged by the fire, bottle passing, liquor loosening barriers. Tell me about your husband, Ethan prompted. Laura's smile turned wistful. Tom was solid, reliable. Safe. She sipped. Nothing like you. Bad thing. Jury's out. Ethan eyed her in the glow. Ever wonder about a wilder path? A man who'd sweep you off this farm, show you adventure? The type who'd get me killed, or make you feel electric. Laura's pulse quickened. I was content with Tom. Content's not alive, Ethan countered. They inched closer, bourbon fueling fire. She traced his next vein, inhaled his essence. You? Ever tied down? Once. She left calm handle my chaos. Sorry. Ancient history before I turned into this. He waved at himself. A drifter wrecking lives. Laura faced him squarely. Ethan Hayes, I've been a ghost for 3 years. If you're wrecking me, maybe I need it. His restraint shattered. He hauled her close, the kiss fierce, consuming. Need surged, years of denial erupting. Ethan carried her to the bed untouched since Tom, and she yielded. What followed was raw and reverent. He explored her like sacred ground. She arched into him like rebirth. They collided in firelight, murmuring secrets, losing time in ecstasy. Afterward, entwined, Ethan whispered, damn. Laura stroked his chest. We're doomed for this. Alex would hate us. So why no regrets? Because feeling beats existing. They tangled again, slower, savoring each caress a rebellion against fate. As embers faded, they knew dawn would end it. Laura awoke to gray light. Ethan dressed by the window. Storm's lifted, he said flatly. I know. She sat up, sheet clutched. You have to go. Yeah. Pain etched his face. Laura, I know promises. Don't complicate it. He perched on the bed, caressing her cheek. I'll find Alex. Get him home, if possible. And if not, he'll know his mom's love runs deep. Tears welled as he dressed silently. Ethan Hayes drove off as the sun pierced the horizon. Laura watched from the window, glass hand, his warmth lingering. For months later, a letter arrived not from Alex, but from a sheriff in Bismarck. Alex Bennett perished in a rig explosion, but enclosed was a pouch of cash from his savings and a scrawled note in familiar script. Laura, he spoke of you to the end. Sorry, he didn't make it back. The money's his enough to secure your future. He loved you fiercely. So did I. Laura clutched it, sobbing for her son, the lost dreams, the drifter who'd stolen her heart then vanished. But no regrets, not the passion, not the ache. For 2 days, she'd burned alive, fierce and wanted. With Alex's funds, she sold the farm, bought a cozy home in Lincoln, escaping isolation. She never remarried, but she thrived volunteering, traveling, embracing life. On stormy nights, she'd recall hazel eyes, bourbon kisses, a stranger's touch reigniting her soul. Ethan had gifted her revival, even as fate snatched the rest. What do you think? Would you have crossed that line like Laura, or played it safe? Drop your take in the comments. Stand your ground. Share your views. Let's debate this wild ride.